I got it all. I am ready. We could talk about Jon Stewart. He's a WWE guy.
He is. He's a WWE guy.
All right, you guys ready then?
Hall of Famer.
I don't think he's in the Hall, but
will he be?
Yeah, for sure.
Just out of sheer numbers, yeah.
There we go.
Hey, Brett, what's up with that buzz?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a...
They may put Jeremy Piven in the celebrity wing.
Oh, I feel good. I feel great. You guys feel good?
Yeah.
Swag.
I'm high as fuck, so I feel great.
Nice.
Since when do you smoke weed?
I smoke weed.
What?
Lately I've been smoking more often. But
I like the
I
Barry
smoke
Windham
every now
shirt.
and then.
It's a good shirt.
I know. That's why I'm on camera number 1.
Is that from Wrestling for Sale?
All right, do you still hear it?
No.
Okay.
I hear it a tad bit, but I
it
can
keeps
live
cutting
with
in
it.
and out, so I'm not sure if it's on the recording or
Oh, now I can hear it
output
again.
from the
Yeah.
headphones.
I think I'll start with Super Showdown. Because God almighty.
I actually
Hey,
I
Chris.
had the day off and I just watched
Chris,
it.
you see that mic with the silver bottom? Yeah. Can you unplug the cable from the mic?
I think I can.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
It was that cable.
And that one is number 4.
I still
And-
hear it.
Oh, no, it
Oh.
came back. That's
Yep.
not it. It went away and then... Okay.
I mean, I can live with it. There, yeah, it's just coming back in and out.
Yeah.
In and out.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, cross-posting ready. Everything's good.
Cross-posting ready.
All right, just give me a thumbs up. Your countdown to 3.
I'll count you down. Here we go. Going live in 5, 4, 3,
3.
2.
What's up, you pencil neck geeks? Welcome to the world-famous Comedy Store. This is the Store Horsemen podcast, the number 1 pro wrestling podcast in the world. I've just declared it. I've decided.
That sounds good to me.
That's how I feel about it. I listen to these other things that they call pro wrestling podcasts.
It's just a bunch of nerds.
A bunch of fucking nerds. Speaking of which,
A bunch of jabronis.
to my left, the jabroni Josh Martin for a change.
Hello, guys. I'm number 2 most important person on this podcast.
Wait a minute. I don't know. When did we decide that?
Me and Johnny made the list. Johnny's number 1.
That sounds about right.
I got number 2 because I want to make WWE porn.
I got it.
So-
I got it. And to your left, the evil genius Eddie Furth. What's up, buddy?
I hope I make it into the top 5 most important people.
If that's the ceiling,
Yeah.
Johnny and
Yeah.
Josh, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay.
It's a good list.
I don't know, man.
It's a good top 2.
Setting the bar very low.
We don't set the bar. We are the bar.
Indeed, sir. And speaking of low bars, we can just jump right into it. WWE Super Showdown. I put this on in the background when I was at work on Friday and glanced over to watch every now and again. And I mean, look, what did you guys think? You know, I tend to go last with these opinions.
Josh, did you watch?
I did not watch. I heard about it. I
Yeah.
read all the commentary.
Yeah.
Apparently backstage was a mess.
Yep.
The temperatures were extremely
Off the
hot.
charts. Off
Yeah.
the charts.
And yeah, I heard Undertaker and Goldberg should never be in the ring ever again.
Yeah, the temperatures were comparable to like a Joe Rogan steam. It was, they kept doing the like what it is outside and what the ring actually felt
Yeah.
like, and the ring actually like never got down to like under 100 degrees. And you could tell, especially when Shane McMahon made his presence felt, because that is a sweaty man. And usually he starts sweating in the first 30 seconds of the match. He was drenched on the way to the ring. It was
He almost slipped.
disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And so was this show for the most part for me. I don't know. I mean, Eddie, you seem to enjoy these sort of out of continuity video game type shows. Go ahead, defend it if you can, if you want to.
So I'll say that the very first time they did this show, I made sure to take the day off of work.
Wow.
I treated it like an event, right? That
well,
was
they kept saying this one was WrestleMania equivalent.
Yeah.
Which if you have to keep saying it, I just,
It probably isn't.
Yeah.
If you have to compare it to any WrestleMania, what WrestleMania will you compare it to?
WrestleMania 9.
Oof. I got a weird place in my heart for that Mania.
I do too.
Because it's so wacky. Like the commentators are dressed in togas.
Yeah.
It's from Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. If you don't know what we're
I
talking
was trying
about.
to remember which one.
Yeah.
that was.
WrestleMania 9 is Brett versus Yoko, where Hulk Hogan comes
yeah.
out and wins the belt at the end.
Totally.
And to me, that is one of those shows that it has a special place in my heart. It
Right.
looks and feels cool, but if you go back and you watch the matches, you
Oh.
look at what it is.
Yes.
Like
Look
Doink and Crush was one of their high points.
I was to say, when you look at the card, it's just like...
You have to really just enjoy it and be
Yeah.
a wrestling fan, especially of that era. Now, in
Right.
this one, I didn't specifically take the day off, but I had it off, and I didn't have anything going on at 11 o'clock when
Yeah.
it came on. So I was like, all right, I'll sit down and I'll watch the whole thing.
Right. Now, before you go into that, Velveteen Dream on his Instagram had a lot to say about enjoying the WWE product for what it is.
Yeah.
That's called a teaser, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get into that in a little bit.
I'm excited to talk about
but
what he said.
please go on to the Super Showdown.
If I'm going to encapsulate it off the beginning, if I missed the show, I wouldn't have missed anything.
Yeah,
The truth is, if I didn't watch it that day, I don't, like the Australia show, I didn't go back and watch the whole thing. I picked the matches and the moments I wanted, and I could have done that with this one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my time watching it. It moved quicker than WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's
also.
for damn sure.
There was nothing that I absolutely had to watch other than that last match.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it, but we're talking like a solid B- style show, which lived up to it. Like this was not a great show by any stretch of the imagination. If we went on the comparison to a house show,
Yeah.
I think it was a strong-ish house show compared to what I would watch in the 90s on the MSG network.
I mean, it would have been an awesome house show. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
If I could see Goldberg, Undertaker at a house show.
Yeah, so
that's-
I would
that's
love
it,
to
though.
talk about it removing Undertaker and Goldberg because I think there's going to be a lot to say just on that match.
Sure.
If you look at the two championship matches,
Yeah. Let's go
Awesome.
from top to bottom
Yeah.
just really quickly. The pre-show was the Usos versus the Revival. Not much you can do with 7 minutes.
yeah,
But they did what they could. Usos retained, of course. Seth Rollins. Well, excuse me. They weren't. Neither of these teams are the tag team champions. What am I talking about? They
Yeah.
picked up the win. The Usos did.
gotcha. Which led into something this week.
Which we go right into Seth Rollins defending his WWE title Universal title against Baron Corbin, which made me never want to see these two wrestle ever again. They were given 11 minutes, and Baron Corbin is just a poor wrestler. I don't
Yeah.
care what Johnny says. I'm glad he's not here. He's now has the Baron Corbin symbol etched
his
onto
vest.
his vest. So now he
we know
looks
it's
like
not going
a
anywhere.
waiter at Baron Corbin's restaurant.
It sounds like a restaurant Johnny would definitely live in.
Any restaurant Johnny would live in, let's be
But
honest.
like that would be a restaurant where everyone knows his name.
Yes.
Like that's his version of Cheers.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And he drink just as much. I mean, look, Seth is a superior performer. Baron Corbin cannot be carried to a good match, I don't think. And they had a bit of a screwy finish where there's a ref bump. What happened there?
I think so. First off, I think that I think this match was serviceable.
Okay.
Because the other side is, I look at this and I recognize the only time that I think one of these shows had the all-out effort was when Brock and Roman went in the cage and speared him through the cage,
Yeah.
right? But aside from that, you could almost see people pulling back on moves slightly, knowing this wasn't the show to get injured on.
Yeah, for sure.
So the match itself, I think, was serviceable. There were some stronger points. There were some points it dragged even with 11 minutes. And then that finish was weird. It felt like Baron went to the ref a few times looking for the response and wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was trying to build the story into it, like showing, he's getting mouthy with the ref, now the ref's finally going to fire back, or if it was a miscue.
What is this Baron Corbin
Here's
experiment?
what it is.
What is going on?
I don't know if you remember this, but Triple H used to do that spot all the time.
Yes.
It goes back to his Greenwich pedigree days.
Right.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He would get in Earl Hebner's face, and then Earl Hebner would fire back at him. He'd point at his chest, and you don't touch it. And then Mark Mero would get a roll-up.
Are you talking about his involvement just with the company? And
I mean,
this constant push.
I
I think he's probably a a yes man to Triple H or Vince.
Yeah.
Like he just
I
always
think
whatever they have to do.
Our friends
Tell
at
him to
Wrestle
do.
Talk refer to it as the Baron Corbin mid-card vortex of doom. And it seems
So-
like people just keep getting caught in the wake of this thing.
he's the upper mid heel.
Sure.
Right, the way Razor Ramon always referenced to himself. Scott Hall was like, I was the upper mid baby.
Right.
Right. I wasn't the champion.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was the guy you either beat to get to the champion or lost to go back
Rick
down.
Rude probably
Yeah.
was always the upper
Yeah.
heel.
I'm
upper
going to
mid
go
heel.
out on a limb and I'm going to say, even though I don't love the work Baron Corbin is doing, I think he's doing incredible work for what they're asking him to do. And if he were given better stuff to work with,
Yeah.
he'd shine even more. Like I don't love the gear he works with.
Ugh.
The style that he's working at the moment is kind of in between, but he had that one move he had him on the shoulder, he like spun him down. I like that. That was a good move.
Dude,
I like
he's
that.
a
I like
big,
his move
strong guy. He has a punchable face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you could make that into something, but
Yeah.
the problem is he doesn't do dastardly things. He does annoying things.
Yeah.
And that's like, again, that's like seems to be the only heat that they're after these days for their bad guys, their heels.
But the way he's executing what he's being asked to execute
Sure.
is still so. Like I would take this match and I would make it the entire segment because
Yeah.
the way they're going to look at it is the segment with Brock at the end.
Yeah.
And I think the entirety of the segment, other than that weird finish, I like the creativity of getting a ref involved. As somebody who referees, I do stand by the idea of I shouldn't be involved in. If you want to bump me, fine,
Yeah.
but I don't want to get in your face to cause you to lose because that's starting
Sure.
to really walk on terror. Unless John Cohn's going to then turn and become a manager, it's
Right,
not. There's no payoff.
Sure. Well, I mean,
But
speaking of,
it's a house show and you got to get out of it somehow,
Right.
and that's.
and speaking of payoffs, I mean, this match really wasn't even about the match. It was about the Brock Lesnar cash in. Our balls have been tickled, 4 weeks in a row now. They blatantly said he was going to cash in the previous Monday Night Raw. That didn't happen, even after he beats down Seth Rollins with moves and a steel chair and still doesn't cash in for whatever reason because he's got this hard-on for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Friday is when I'm going to cash in, he says. So now here we are, post-match. Seth is injured. He's just been through a battle with Baron Corbin. Out comes Lesnar. Paul Heyman trips getting into the ring, drops the money in the bank. Lesnar is so distracted that he's not ready for Seth Rollins to give him the low blow. Then he gets beat down with the chair. And it's really the first time we've seen Lesnar kind of humbled like that.
I liked seeing Heyman sell for the ropes.
Certainly.
And I
Right,
genuinely
right,
thought
right.
that was an accident. Like
Yeah,
all
yeah,
credit to
yeah.
Heyman. I thought he just tripped like an idiot, like Batista did on the way in
Oh,
at
God.
WrestleMania. But so here, in that vein, it does seem like only Brock Lesnar's storyline is real when they travel overseas.
Yes.
And in that vein, now Seth got one up on Brock.
Yeah.
And look, I think that it is essential with that character that if you're going to get one up on Brock, you have to have something else to it, right? If he gets him, there's got to be a reason. Let's see, he slips, he misses something. In this instance, he was distracted for just a moment, and then Seth gets up on him. Because if you had somebody that massive, that big, that imposing, you would need some trick to get to them.
So what's the payoff? Ultimately?
He looks vulnerable.
No,
right
no.
now, it looks like Seth.
But like, where does this go? Where's the? Because the whole thing with Brock keeping the Universal title hostage for as long as he did was whoever beats him is going to get this massive rub and be the guy, right? And it was clear they were grooming Roman for it forever. The fans rejected Roman completely. Seth got the win, but it was more the kind of hit him in the nuts, and then he started stomping his face over and over again, and got the kind of stole one from Brock. He didn't go heads up with Brock, right?
Yeah.
So now Brock has the money in the bank. I mean, is there what do you see? Do you see that he's going to win it back, or he's going to try to cash it in? He's going to announce it, and then Seth gets the big rub, or is he going to win it and then someone else gets the big rub? Like, what's the payoff here? I just feel like we have Lesnar fatigue at this point.
So I think this is more nonlinear storytelling than that, because we know that if there's any storyline that's gonna have time spent on it, it'll be Lesnar.
Yeah, of course.
I think he absolutely if I were writing it, when he cashes in, he gets it.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the instance where he cashes in and somebody comes and gets a disqualification, or he loses, or he misses, because it also doesn't. If you really are trying to put Seth Rollins or somebody else over on Brock ultimately, then they should get the win full clean, and they should be taking the belt off Lesnar. So if the plan would be that Seth Rollins is going to wind up with this championship belt, then Brock cashes in and takes it, and Seth has to come one more time to do it.
What do you think of the off teased by Matt Riddle that he's going to cost Lesnar the title whenever he decides to cash it in? And then that leads to a feud between the two of them. Now you got a guy debuting from NXT immediately getting pushed into a huge spot, going toe-to-toe with Lesnar. And plus, Riddle's got the UFC background.
MMA background.
Yeah. And to me, Riddle was the MVP of Super Showdown because he was trolling Goldberg the entire show, which was fucking hilarious to me. And then people called him a bully and such online.
Really?
I'm like, I mean, it's pro wrestling, man. He's making fun of Goldberg's inability to chain wrestle. And then he put a knee bar on Undertaker at one point, and Riddle couldn't handle it. And I just thought that shit was great.
If Riddle is gonna go against Brock, I think you have to build him for it. I don't think he is, like, even for me.
Yeah,
he doesn't excite me just coming up from the
I think
not just coming up off the roster. You know what I mean? If he came up off the roster, beat Seth Rollins, and then that's where the cash in is, then it something else would have to happen.
Like you could also build it up with during NXT, have him just beat some of the bigger guys, like the Lawler Sullivans of NXT.
Sure.
I don't think
And then he
NXT
comes
counts in WWE though.
I feel the same way.
Not
It's like
even
Earth 2.
and it doesn't. But even if you weren't going to split them, like, genuinely to me, I don't care what winning streak you went on in NXT. It's a different story. It's a different moment, and like, because I do have a sensitivity of, like, if there's a difference between college basketball and NBA basketball, even if you want to say college is more fundamentally sound. There's a difference between NXT and WWE. There's a difference between Impact and AEW and WWE. When you walk into an arena with 70,000 people, that's the difference between playing. There's a difference between playing the main room, and then there's a difference between playing an arena.
But it's an entire way to somewhat long-term book stuff. So have him, like, for example, you have him beat a bunch of the bigger guys in the NXT, and all of a sudden when he causes Lesnar to cash in, you have all these videos to use in video packages to promote him. Have him beat the fucking Samoa Joes of WWE. Have him beat the fucking Baron Corbins. The guy's way bigger than him.
Oh yeah, but then that's not NXT.
But you can maintain what he is.
So you say
from
call him
NXT.
up now and let him start getting some wins.
Have him win in NXT and then call him up.
Because I'll tell you what.
But no,
Like,
no.
have
Here's
him
my
just
question. Who's
have
he
him-
beating in NXT? Because here that would be like killing them in the OR, right? You could kill in the original room for 6 months straight. That doesn't mean you're selling out an arena. And
No,
if I
but
pop
if-
you in an arena, you're not
Yeah.
all of a
But if you
sudden
bring him
just
to the main
there.
roster,
if
and
you
you
build
need
him
to-
up in
you-
NXT and then all of a sudden he shows up and calls Lesnar his cash in, like he doesn't win the belt, then he keeps Lesnar away from someone, and you can actually use that guy to build up Lesnar, and Lesnar to build up a guy that you just all of a sudden randomly called up.
Because I think Riddle's gimmick is almost perfect for a guy that's too big for his britches. You know what I mean? Where he's just like, I'm the fucking man. You know what I mean? Like, he goes straight at Lesnar and has no idea the fucking what he's gotten himself into. And you know what I mean? And then you kind of build that and then he won't even grant Lesnar a match, and so Lesnar's like hunting this dude. I see so much fun with that kind of story.
What I don't want to see. I don't want to see Lesnar cash in and somebody cost the match. I want to see him cash in and either win or lose. And I think that the cash-ins always mean more when someone cashes in and wins under any circumstance.
Sure.
So I'm always going to root, no matter who's holding that briefcase, to win the belt, because it just adds. It always then feels like that. So the minute it doesn't happen, it's the surprise. But especially if it's like a cost somebody and it's Lesnar, like,
But
I
Lesnar
think the
should have-
intrigue of how you can play that angle, that storyline is so precious that if you wasted it simply on a DQ, I'd be like, then why'd you even bother? Then it would feel useless.
But the issue is that Lesnar wasn't in the fucking Money in the Bank match.
Yeah.
And it would kind of be like karma. Like, hey, you fucking
But does
stole
that really
the-
hold on? Would that satisfy you in a storyline?
yeah,
we
because
sit here
I
as
think
fans
I
and
think-
complain so much. I'm really gonna push back this week when we were talking about this stuff about how we're responding as fans and what we're asking for. Because in this instance, we say right, Lesnar is the example of, hey, give some guys some time off, and then Lesnar goes away. It's like, well, he's a part timer, he's never around. Like we always ask for two different things when it comes to
But
stuff.
I'm not
so
asking for either one of those things. I'm asking he wasn't officially in that match,
Right.
so he technically shouldn't be the fucking
Right. 'Cause
Money in the
that's
Bank winner.
what everyone's
So
upset
you
about.
fucking screw him out. He screwed those guys out of an opportunity, and to have him be screwed back,
Right.
is something. It kind
And
of is full circle. For
I think the internet would be complaining even more that that's not satisfactory. That's all I'm saying.
I
is
don't
that if
think,
you,
I think people
I don't
would
think
be way
people-
more satisfied than him winning the
Yeah,
title.
I tend to agree
Again.
with Josh more. I think that the problem is like in previous cash-ins that failed, they didn't do it for any given reason. Like Baron Corbin didn't succeed for no reason. Jinder Mahal didn't succeed for no reason. John Cena even didn't succeed really for no reason. But if it sets up a feud and gives a meaningful feud to somebody who does it, especially since, I mean, I want to have a greater discussion with you guys about this anyway. NXT, for as much as we love it and as much as like the Smarks love it, it has not been that successful as far as building stars. You know what I mean? Like, look at the guys who've been. We've talked about this a lot. We even did a bonus episode on this on our Patreon. Nakamura, huge deal in NXT. Where is he now? He's one of the 50 guys in this battle royal at Super Showdown. You know, fucking name them, dude.
They're like the Duke
Yeah.
of pro wrestling, where they produce incredibly proficient athletes and competitors,
Yeah.
but they don't seem to be superstars on the other side.
Totally.
They fill out.
And the guys that are like were kind of already good. I mean, and had been seasoned through various
Braun
indies
is the
and
best example. Braun is the best
Yeah.
example. He spent minimal time in NXT before being
Completely.
called up. But that is somebody, and I know a lot of people are down on Braun, but I watch him every week, and I still think to myself, the minute he wins, we're all going to be just as satisfied. I
Yeah.
don't think his character is hurting. I think it's just the lull period in between stuff,
Right.
and he's going to be right back into the picture. I think I think he and Lesnar just don't seem to work well together, and you have to keep them apart. When Lesnar is finally done for 6 months, you're going to see Braun step up.
you got an agent, a different kind of match for those two. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like what Braun showed me on Raw, where he's back to doing the nip ups and he's running fast and
Yep.
showing his athleticism. Do that against
Yeah.
Lesnar, but they keep trying to do these Hoss matches between
and there
the
was
two
that
of them.
great four-way with him and Roman and
Oh, it
Joe.
was excellent.
And,
Yeah.
and then like the next month, it was just Brock and Braun, and it fell apart. And
Totally.
everybody was like, "Well, why didn't you do something like you did the other month?" And
Exactly.
they'll figure it out. I definitely feel like that's one where Brock is not. I don't think Brock is ceding to Braun at
Yeah.
all. Like it seems like there's guys Brock loves to work with, the
Right.
same way as like there are guys Andre loved to work with. And if
Exactly.
he loved you, he would make you look great. But when
Right.
he didn't, he was going to give you hell for it.
I
think Brock
literally
gives Braun
told
hell.
my roommate Rachel Evans, multiple time guest here,
Yeah.
that I think Brock is the modern day Andre.
Yeah.
for sure. He's the big
100%.
attraction. He could lose, and he never loses any of his heat. He always is a threat. He's always a big deal.
Yeah.
And
I've said the same. I totally
Totally.
agree.
And
you said Brock or
Brock.
Braun?
Brock.
Oh,
Braun
okay.
is not
Braun
not
is
there
not.
yet.
Yeah, yeah.
But Brock, because if you think of Andre, he was the attraction.
right.
It was always the attraction of him.
But that's what's crazy about now, because I think for the first time ever, Brock has lost heat
Interesting.
after WrestleMania. Like that build up to WrestleMania, people just hated fucking Lesnar.
Yeah. Well, also they use him too much. I mean, and I know what you're gonna say, but it's like when he was the champion, you do need him around,
Mhm.
even if he's not wrestling.
Mhm.
Like Hogan was the champion, but he didn't wrestle on TV. He'd cut promos. He'd be around. he wouldn't wrestle until the A house shows in the big markets and the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And it's like that's how you do it. You pay to see the champion wrestle, but you still want them present and active.
Yeah.
But even now, it's like we're in a new era where it's like everyone wrestles all the fucking time. It seems like.
Yeah.
So you kind of want your Universal Champion around. So they sort of were tone deaf in how to approach it with Brock when he was the champion to me. And I get it.
Yeah,
Every
I think they were
appearance
also
was super expensive.
and they redid his deal. They were under a different contract. They had a different deal with him. They were under a different impression of how they were going to be functioning. They were certainly at that point relying on the fact that Roman would have been around. And I think we all underestimate how much that break Roman had to take kind of hurt the product and hurt what was going on.
Speaking of Roman,
I mean, he had to surrender a championship. We
Yeah.
forget that. This
For
was
sure.
a whole different 6 months had Roman not gotten sick.
absolutely.
And happy to have him back. And
But the same thing we experienced with fucking Finn Balor,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Like we experienced this multiple times.
What
where
about
just the
them?
injury fucks them,
Yeah.
and all that
Kills
heat
momentum.
just
Yeah.
kills
Yeah.
momentum, and also hurts the product just as much as Roman does.
So
yeah.
and I'm glad you touched on that because I was going to move right into Roman. Like
Loved that match.
you did?
I loved the match.
Wow.
Because
okay,
he-
please
he-
talk to me.
Because first off, I think that in general,
Yeah.
what our expectations are of what we're going to see
Mhm.
is not matching up. And I think the minute we easily, I'll always say the things like, what if I was 9 and this,
Sure.
but if I just look at it, like, what was my expectation on Friday? Did I really think that thing was going to blow my mind?
I didn't
No,
think it was
man,
gonna
that's
blow
you know
my
what I, like.
mind.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I went into it knowing, like, oh yeah, these are all going to be throwaways. So let's just see. Can I have some fun while I'm sitting here? Because I did dedicate the 4 hours because
Yeah.
I had nothing
And
else.
you had fun watching Roman sell that long for Shane McMahon. If
I don't
you really
remember
look
that. See,
at
that's
it from
what I-
bell to bell. Shane kind of dominated him, and it was just like, what is happening?
I
Roman.
can tell you, I don't really remember that
yeah,
part of it. I
okay.
remember basically what I remember is them going at it, and then I remember the finish.
Right, but
And that's what I mean is it was not a match that was going to be memorable to me in any way. So I was like, all right, Roman's out here. He's going to do a thing. He's going to jump. He's going to.
sure, but he got in. Someone did the math. Granted, we make fun of Roman a lot because we feel like he only has 5 moves, but he did like 5 moves of offense the entire match,
I didn't.
and it was just like, it's Shane McMahon. It's a 50-year-old man. He should be. The way they agented his match with Miz at the last 2 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
That's really how it should have gone. Roman should have dominated him. Then you get your ref bump. Then you get your Claymore kick.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Even though, why in God's name they're giving us another Drew McIntyre Roman Reigns match that no one gave a shit about at WrestleMania.
They're gonna have to. The two of them have something. They just have to find it. I don't know what it is, but the two of them are too good for me to believe they can't find that.
You make
thing.
Roman heel with Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, but it's like they're making Roman. This is 2 massive comebacks from injury that they have dropped the ball on. Daniel Bryant was the first.
Yeah.
They could have the biggest babyface in all of wrestling.
Yeah.
Just made it dry. Had him feud with Big Cass.
But look what we got because we didn't get that. We
No.
got a great heel Daniel Bryan.
But that's
again.
that's all because of Daniel Bryant, though. To me, I think Daniel Bryan is starting to. He's in that Jericho level to me, where it's like Jericho went unappreciated for the longest time, and it wasn't until this current run where he's showing that he can be relevant at any time that he shows up, and he's completely making other companies. You know what I mean? Like. You were with me at fucking Double or Nothing when he was like, "You all need to thank me for that." We both were chanting, "Thank you, Jericho," because he almost single-handedly brought all this attention to New Japan when he first went there to fight Omega. He's brought all this attention to AEW. They are fools if they don't make him the first AEW champion. And he just, for the longest time, was like, yeah, Jericho's great, but I don't know if he's in my top 5, blah, blah, blah. I think that's kind of where we should be at with Daniel Bryan at this point because he is making the shit work no matter what they give him.
Like when Daniel Bryan came back and you immediately made him the biggest baby face.
But they didn't.
But
though.
I'm saying if you did, you would have never been able to get to this point.
You could have got
this
here.
Within a year? There's no way you can get that amazing kind of heel.
But he's not like
I think this heel version of him is better than any face he's ever been.
I don't know about that.
I like this persona.
I like it too. I think.
lot.
Look, you don't get me wrong. I think it's amazing what he's been able to do with the champion of the planet gimmick. But he's not Steve Austin, right? Where when they made that horrible decision to turn Steve Austin heel at WrestleMania 17, and it just didn't work because people just weren't ready for that. And Steve,
this one was the right turn at the right time.
right? And it's like, but I think Daniel is skilled enough to do that kind of thing at any given time. Because you got to remember, he didn't get over as a babyface the first time until he was a heel.
Yeah.
And started the no thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's so versatile that you could have got to this place. But you didn't give us anything when he came back as a babyface. He feuded with Big Cass. He was partnering with Shane. It's like, no, you feud him with Roman. You feud him with, Strowman. You feud him with whoever. Just like, but they didn't. They didn't put him in the main event. It was so weird.
It does seem like each time Brian comes back, it almost feels like they are a little nervous. Because if he came back and he was in a tag match at WrestleMania, it seems like they always want to ease him back into it.
Right.
And I have to say that I am a little understanding of that because he's a head injury guy.
Yeah, it's unpredictable.
And that's the one thing they're most worried about right now is head injuries.
Sure.
They'll take a knee injury. They'll take you can blow your tricep again. You can tear a pec, but at the minute your head gets hurt, they're going to be like, you might need to take it easy. Right now, it's even like put the strap on, put the tag straps on him. Ease him back in with that. And if we know he's back up on his feet, then we'll put him back in where he needs to.
Dude, I was watching SmackDown, and even though they weren't in the same segment at all, I didn't realize how much I want, because I think it happened after a commercial break. It was like a Daniel Bryan and a Rowan segment.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens segment.
Mm.
I didn't realize how bad I want that feud to happen until I sort of saw them close together. Like, I want to see those two tag teams go at it so bad.
Oh, they would fight. They would
rock
fight.
it. Oh man! But anyways, so Shane McMahon gets the win over
you
Roman
have to
Reigns.
Go there. That's a good finish. That's the finish you want.
And
because they're building the two of them for a bigger match too. And I'll be honest, the big Roman and Shane match, especially after Shane and Miz was one of my favorite matches at WrestleMania this year.
Well, I'll tell you this. Apparently, that's not where the build is going.
They're not going to that?
The build, because we got to understand, Shane McMahon has not only won the World Cup.
The World Cup.
He's called himself the best in the world.
He carries the cup around.
He
and drinks
takes
out
up
of it now.
So much TV time on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
He has defeated Miz twice.
Yeah.
He has, if you count what happened on SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
He has defeated Roman Reigns. So apparently, what's being talked about backstage is that Shane McMahon is going to defeat Kofi Kingston for the WWE title, and that's where this whole thing is headed, because they want the sort of the worst version of Ric Flair, which is like he's the guy who just keeps eking out these wins. But Ric Flair was good. Yeah, Shane is not good, and he's sweaty and fat and always has help. And that's kind of what they want, where it's like, who's going to be the ultimate heel champion to draw heat? It's going to be Shane, and they've been kind of preparing us for he's beating our favorites, and now he's going to beat the ultimate favorite at the moment, the new people's champion, Kofi Kingston. The fucker who's going over to Ghana.
But that fits the McMahon mold.
100% it does.
It's just a...
Can you imagine?
It's just the corporate white man pulling down a young black man.
I'm gonna expose a lot about who I am as a person and the issues I've dealt with throughout my life, where I will say, honest to goodness, as much as I don't want to see it and I don't think it's the way to go, it's not interesting. God bless Shane McMahon for being able to get that belt, because do you know what that will mean for the way he and his father talk to each other? Do you know what I mean? Like, we all want to in some way work towards approval from our parents or the people we love the most. And for Shane, we make fun of it. Like, what can I jump off to make my dad proud?
Yeah.
If at some point Vince McMahon legitimately says, we're going to make you the champion.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a small tear that wants to come out of my eye to be like, oh my God, his dad finally put the belt on him? Like,
But also
I wish my
Vince
dad
can-
would put the belt on me.
But also Vince can say, well, I was the WWE champion and the ECW champion. I mean, like,
The question I have is, once Vince is gone, does Triple H will have that much control?
yeah.
It's Stephanie.
Or
It'll be
is it going
Stephanie
to
will be the
fucking
head.
Shane?
Well,
It's Stephanie.
no. Shane kind of forfeited a lot of his power when he left for that long period of time.
Yeah.
And Stephanie, she's the brand ambassador, but you have to imagine that she's going to get most of the control of the company. Triple H is running the day-to-day, and hopefully Stephanie's a smart enough business person to realize that when she was in charge of creative, that's when it started to die, the product. So it's kind of like, let Triple H handle it. He's the wrestling guy. He was able to make a success out of NXT, no matter who you give it credit for, even if it's just him delegating it to the right people to make it work. That's at least something Vince McMahon doesn't do. You know what I mean? So I hopefully they realize that give Hunter a chance. You know what I'm saying?
I love that everyone wants Hunter to take over because all I remember is the Reign of Terror he was on.
Yeah,
and,
for
and
sure.
everyone hated him. You
Yeah.
know, pudgy Triple H, hematoma in his leg, so he had the weird bike shorts on.
Yeah,
Triple
yeah.
H, the Evolution Triple H, where everyone was like, just lose the belt already. You're killing, you're holding everybody down,
Right.
Triple H. And now it's like, well, can he take over the company, please?
Well, he's become the proud papa now.
Yeah.
He's growing the beard out. He's, he gets NXT chants every time he's in
Although
the ring.
he also, look, by all accounts from John Moxley, Triple H and CM Punk said the same. Triple H is just as mired in that culture,
Yeah.
and there may be you move Vince McMahon on, that culture may just be stuck for a little while.
Sure.
It may take another 10 years.
And don't
to
get me
out of that.
wrong. Look, in this Super Showdown, Triple H had
the
the nerve
longest
to have a
match.
25-minute match with Randy Orton.
Oh, there were so many moments in that one that I was like, you guys don't have to do this.
No.
Like, nobody even really cares if you do this or not.
It
This
was
one's for you.
unbelievable. Yeah.
You could have gone 13 and we all would have been pretty
And
happy.
the only pops that happened were the false finishes to the
Yeah.
Yeah, he kicked out of the fucking RKO.
So this was somebody once watched me on stage and they said one of the things I like watching about you, Eddie, is that you get the crowd on your terms, no matter what, even if you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because there were times, like there have been times where I will slow the energy down or I'll force it in a way specifically, even if that's not what the room was calling for at the moment.
Sure.
That match felt like that. It was like we're not going to pay attention to what's going on or who's here, what the tone of the situation is. We're going to play this match the way we think it should go,
Yes.
in a vacuum separate from the actual event that's going on, because that match makes sense in the context of that's what a standard wrestling match kind of is. If you go back to all the stuff that we lament, the NWA, the Jim Crockett, the early WWF, the real workhorse, the Macho Man Steamboat stuff, like that's what it would be. It would be this pace the match. I mean, one of my favorite, most well-paced matches of all time is Rock and Cena at WrestleMania 28. And if you go back and watch that, they speed up and slow down at the right moments. They wait for the crowd to get them up off their feet. They do
that's
all
the
that
key
stuff.
moment. That's the key words. Because they did not read the room properly.
They did not, the two of them did not read the room. They did exactly what they wanted, when they wanted, how they wanted.
Yeah.
It took a little too long, and I was kind of weirdly rooting for Triple H.
Yeah, same.
Weirdly.
But you know what? It made me want to see Randy Orton outside of the WWE really badly. The way John Moxley is just making wrestling exciting right now with what he's doing, seeing Randy Orton compete in like a G1, it would be like unbelievable.
And you wouldn't even need him to speak at all.
No. And look, he's a surgeon in the ring. He's a fucking surgeon. But he is just like he just need not be there anymore.
To me, I've never felt like Randy cared. And what I've always wanted was a passionate Randy Orton.
Yeah.
I wanted a Randy Orton that felt like he cared that he was doing it. Like that's always been my thing with him. I've heard about early I was a big Randy Orton guy.
Yeah.
And then it just very slowly but surely, almost when he lost the title back to Triple H early on, I was just kind of, I didn't see any fire from him. It didn't seem like it mattered to him. I would always hear how good he is. I always would see it, like, but his matches were always, oh God, who was it? Somebody on a podcast once said, like, Randy doesn't care about hitting home runs. He wants to get on base every single time. Like he wants to never have a bad match.
And every
that
time
means
we've
he never
seen-
had a great match.
when we
Like,
see
what's
glimpses
your
of
top
it-
3 greatest Randy
Yeah.
Orton matches?
They're all John Cena. But
You know?
I always see glimpses of it. Like we saw glimpses of it during the Wyatt family storyline, where it seemed like he was
And
genuinely
has
excited
the
to be there.
Perfect body
Yeah.
for someone that should be
Well,
fucking.
that's
great.
the line they always use. Triple H always uses it. Like if you were to build a sports entertainer from top to bottom, he'd look like Randy Orton. And it's just like I just think he's grown stale. Like they always talk about that OVW class of what 2002 or something like that.
Well, Randy Orton should be a superstar right
Yeah.
now. This is why, and I always hesitate to be too critical because I do feel like we're going to get these people sitting next to us one day and I'm going to call it a task. Like, I have always thought Randy Orton had more in him than he was giving.
Yeah.
And Randy Orton should be the attraction and the superstar that we're excited to see when he does show up.
Yeah.
But when he does show up, I'm not always that excited. I'm kind of like, oh, God, are we going to get another Randy Orton title reign out of nowhere that I'm not really that interested in?
Yeah.
Or is he going to win or lose this match, but then he's going to kind of go away, but not really? Like,
Yeah.
what's his
Well, I
what's
don't-
his place?
I also don't think he's been put in that compelling of storylines. The Legend Killer storyline was great.
Mhm.
I
thought Legacy should have gone on longer than it
should have
did.
gone on longer. I enjoyed the Wyatt family thing. Other than
If-
that, he's just kind of always put in
He's
a
never
position to
changed
be a
his
workhorse.
gear. He's
Yeah.
never
it could
looked
have been,
different.
It could have been good if you didn't have Shane involved at all.
Yeah.
The Miz, Randy Orton, with the Miz touching
Yeah.
his dad.
Yeah.
That could have been a whole very good, and it's a face Randy
Yeah.
Orton, which is great.
Can
Um,
that match also made me, and I felt this way for a little while now.
Yeah.
I would like to see Triple H wrestle more than once a year on WrestleMania and at these Saudi Arabia shows. Like I'd love to see him at SummerSlam and Royal Rumble as an entrant. Like I still like to see Triple H,
He's got a
and
busy
he's still
office
credible.
schedule.
I disagree with
He's
that
got it.
completely.
Really?
I feel like Triple H is like the Undertaker.
He can
And you
still
should
go
not-
though. The Triple H can still go.
I
Like,
mean,
But
because
not
here was the
that
thing: if you watch
much.
the thing about the Randy Orton that match that really stuck out to me was at WrestleMania. I kind of questioned if Triple H could go because he was with Batista and that match was paced oddly.
yeah.
Watching with Randy Orton, I was like, oh no, this guy is still
Yeah, he's
very
fine.
smooth,
But look,
very flawless. He's got his cardio. He's very strong. He's
You just don't think about any spots with a Triple H match anymore. Like the Jeff Hardy Triple H. What do you remember most?
Yeah. Well.
Screwdriver through the ear.
Mhm.
You don't remember an
That's-
actual set of.
that was Randy.
That's Randy Orton,
That was
yeah.
Randy.
Oh, wait.
Orton.
Fuck.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But look,
That's
I
what
mean,
I would
Never
like to
mind.
see I would like to see Triple H wrestle more than he does, as long as they don't play it that it's the authority coming down to wrestle. If he just was a wrestler
yeah.
and somebody called him out from behind the desk and he wrestled Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn,
Look, I think the only frontier we really have left for Triple H is the quite obvious storyline of Vince McMahon versus Triple H for control of the company, which it's like just do that. Fuck
You don't even need Vince to wrestle.
No, you got
Yeah,
all the
Vince will
rumors.
but
have
I
the
would
guy-
pay double to see
Vince have
You got all the rumors backstage that there's tension there, and Triple H wants to make these moves, but at the end of the day, it's Vince McMahon's decision. They keep trying to do these, work shoot situations. There's no major storyline in the main event at all in the WWE, so why not just
And you could-
pull the trigger?
and you can almost rehash it. What happened with the Stephanie and Shane coming out like
Or the
hey,
invasion angle.
We haven't listened to you guys. We haven't listened to
Yeah.
you, the people. Do that again, but do that with just Triple H doing that. But it ends up being the same, and you find out it's because everything Triple H says.
Right. And then you
Vince
could have so many
changes.
people defecting from the WWE side to I was an NXT guy, and so I side with Triple H,
And it kind of
back
breaks
and forth.
it breaks that wall of what's real and what's not.
100%.
Real, you know.
I would just think that I think one of the things that we are missing at the moment is superstars, is real attraction players.
Yeah.
And I think Triple H could serve as one. For instance, imagine if Triple H was also on the Stomping Ground card against
Yeah.
Cesaro.
But
I
that's
know that's not
why-
where he's going. But like
Yeah.
Samoa Joe, just even Rey Mysterio.
But that's
if he
why
wasn't
I
hurt.
think that storyline idea works so well,
Mm.
because then you don't necessarily have to rely on stars. You
Mm-hmm.
make the two factions the stars. You know what I'm saying? Like it becomes more about the conflict
Sure.
between NXT and WWE as opposed to who's the champion and whoever the champion. And Seth Rollins is almost the perfect champion to be there because he was the first NXT champion. current Universal Champion, where's his loyalty at?
I certainly,
You know what I'm saying?
I think that storyline works perfectly.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding, I would still like it's still just I would definitely like to see Triple H more. I
Yeah.
think the idea too that like, for instance, he wrestled last year at WrestleMania, and we didn't see him in a ring again until this WrestleMania. I was like,
Tore
I
that
would have
fucking pack.
I would have taken a few more.
Yeah.
He did tear the pec,
You
but
just
I would
like
have
that
taken.
bike.
Oh God, I can do away with those entrances.
I don't even need Triple H to wrestle anymore. Just him coming out would be nice.
Yeah.
More often.
And I'll tell you right
see
now,
him
when-
on NXT, but not on the main roster at all, and I would like to see that.
I need to get a trim, but when I go into the barber, I do ask them to make my beard look like his. I do like that beard with the bald head look.
I do not like. Speaking of bald heads and beards, I do not like Lars Sullivan. They need to, again. They need to make a decision. Is this guy a monster?
That was the one at the
or is
show,
he
yeah.
not? You can't have. First of all, a DQ finish on a handicap match
Yeah.
for the guys ganging up on him doesn't make any sense. First of all, then you have him destroy them after the match. I don't want to spend too much time on this match, but I thought it exemplified kind of what's wrong with WWE, where it's like it's this non-committal booking, where it's like
That was the strangest match on that show.
what is it?
I don't understand why they did that
is
with
he
it.
a monster, or are you going with the baby faces need this win? Are you saying that three guys can't beat one, or are you saying that they should be scared of Lars? Like, what are you trying to tell us?
The minute they got up on him early, I was kind of like, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I wanted to see him come in and squash
I
each and
did
every
too.
single one of them.
Give
That
him-
was
It should have been a minute long. And then you don't agent it to where he does a power move where he picks all three of them up.
yeah.
You have to have that spot.
Yeah.
And no, we didn't get that spot. And then he beats them in a gauntlet match on Monday Night Raw the following week.
Now,
It's
did
like,
you?
come on, man.
I had heard some rumblings about this. Do you know what really happened with him going away? Because originally, remember, he was supposed to get called up,
And
they
he had
did
a
all those
panic
promos,
attack,
and he had
supposedly,
panic
yeah.
attacks. And
Yeah.
I thought he was having like a social anxiety disorder, which I was like, oh God, yeah. If
Yeah.
somebody needs,
But then after
mental
that,
health awareness-
apparently he no-showed a lot of events he was supposed to be at. Apparently, after
and then
that.
and then there was something about sending him to sensitivity training, which made it sound like he was being an asshole.
Well,
to
that's
everybody.
because of what surfaced online of him being low key racist and
Really?
making
I
making
didn't know
fun
about
of
that.
Jeff Hardy's addiction problems, and then you want to talk about not reading the room properly. He makes vaguely racist comments. The first few people he beats down are Apollo Crews, fucking Titus O'Neil, the Lucha House Party, and then Jeff Hardy, the fucking person he was making fun of.
It makes me appreciate Braun that much more because
Yes.
you recognize that what you got with Braun was somebody who learned and understood quickly and then applied it.
Yeah.
So that all the writing they did for Braun was obviously top notch, but he also took something and excelled with it. Hint, hint. Velveteen Dream said something interesting.
Like, if Lars Sullivan didn't have this match, have him in that 50-man, and if you play the monster angle,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
that Lars Sullivan versus the guy that
Easy.
won
Won
the thing would have been a great
Also,
because
two
they're
massive guys at each
if
other.
you tell
Hell
me
yeah.
they're going to do something with this Mansoor guy who won the 50-man battle royal, you are kidding yourself.
That's like
we
a
won't see
I'm
him
gonna tell
again
you right
for
now.
a longest
That's
time.
like
does not matter to me one bit.
Me neither,
Like,
but I'm just saying.
I'm going to tell you right now that to me was one of the best played stories of that
I
show.
enjoyed the post-match promo.
You want to talk
He
about a
popped the
star?
crowd.
That promo is underrated for how good that's
Hey.
Attitude Era standing in the middle of the ring calling somebody out on the top of the ramp.
Look, I
Good.
don't disagree. They ate it up. He was
that's
the
kind of
hometown
promo-
guy. They usually shit on the
They must
hometown
have
guy.
not scripted it for him. They must have just let him talk. Like
Yeah.
whatever
It was
it was,
passionate.
he was perfect. He was perfect after
You know
that
what he
win.
reminded me of? He reminded me of like a basketball player that gets drafted and he's like 7'6",
Yeah.
and then he just fucking immediately rips his fucking knees,
Right.
and he's like, "Oh, this guy has nothing."
Well, we're not. Listen, that was purely for that time,
Yeah.
that moment, which was fine.
Yeah.
But you could have did something to elevate someone else
They
if it wasn't
going
to
to
matter
the home
anyway.
crowd.
No, but that's
It's
good
just
because the other
pandering.
side of it is the WWE loves to get heat in hometowns. That's why you always
Yeah.
see JR get shit on in Oklahoma and
Right,
so
right,
and so.
right.
If it's your birthday, you know you're going to lose because it's a way to get heat. I loved that for once they just played the genuine good moment
Sure.
because I know we
If not,
talk.
they was getting beheaded. If they didn't
Yeah,
do that.
well, because I was going to say we talk a
what the-
little bit about
Baron
how
Corbin
weird
made a
it
heads
is.
are gonna roll joke on that fucking show.
Oh,
That
I
shit was
forgot.
bananas. I was like, what? Who is in charge here?
For as much as, because we don't really dive deep into this, because I don't really want to, because I don't like having to take the social. I don't think the onus should be on us to fix this one.
Mm-hmm.
But we talk about the fact that they're in Saudi Arabia, and maybe that's questionable business to do.
I don't think maybe, but
I think that when they played that video package of all the kids and all the people
Yes.
genuinely talking about it, I was like, look, you can say a lot of things, but that right there is worth doing some business with somebody, because
I
that's
agree
real
with you.
human beings, actual civilians.
Yeah.
Right? I'm in the midst of having these long-winded discussions with people about whether roasting Anne Frank on Netflix is
Sure.
acceptable.
right.
And whenever I say it, I'm like, I think it's the most important thing to do is look at the conversations that are being had and the real people that
Yeah.
are being affected. The fact that Anne Frank was a citizen who got caught up in a war. These citizens are not making the policies that are questionable. They're not the ones who are involved in those beheadings. These are actual human beings. When you see how their lives are affected and changed and touched, when Mansour wins and a stadium full of people do have that feel-good
Yeah.
moment, those are the things that I look at and I'm like, there's real value in that. Maybe not enough to erase the entirety of the deal, but I couldn't help but enjoy that video package at that
Dude,
moment.
I can't agree with you more. You said it excellently. And to the WWE's credit, I mean, maybe that's what they were looking for with this. They did try to get a women's match approved for this particular show. Didn't
Natty
happen.
and Alexa, right?
It was supposed to be Natty and Alexa going at it, but it didn't happen. Braun and Lashley was what you kind of thought it would be. Kofi Ziggler was kind of what you thought it would be. The Undertaker Goldberg.
Here it
let's
is.
Do it. I mean, what's there to say? The
I think
Undertaker almost killed Goldberg once.
Goldberg almost killed himself
Goldberg
several
almost
times.
killed himself. Goldberg almost killed the Undertaker, and it made me get a new appreciation. Even I had it rather. It made me dust off my appreciation for how good Brock Lesnar is in the ring, because he made both these old men look interesting
Yeah.
in the last couple times that he was in the ring with them.
And now, given time and everything being different, I will always agree with that, because I will always tout how good Brock actually is.
Yes. When he wants to be, he is a great pro wrestler.
The minute Goldberg walked out of his dressing room and his stupid fucking forehead was bleeding again, I was like, you fucking ass. I was so mad at Goldberg in that moment, because I was like, one of my friends, Kevin Thompson, texted me, and he was just like, if you need to hit your head against the door to get excited to go wrestle, maybe you don't need to wrestle.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't be out there.
Dude.
And I just don't. I know Goldberg gave himself a concussion before he went to the ring, just like that time he did it with the promo where he got out there and he couldn't finish his fucking promo because he'd knocked himself silly backstage.
Yeah. I mean, look, he knocked himself silly in this match. He broke his hand, remember, in the height of his WCW run by punching a fucking window.
Yeah.
The guy, hey, I mean, look, he looked great. The first 2 minutes I thought were very entertaining.
Yeah.
Every time Goldberg kind of spears you right off the bat, it's kind of fun to see. But boy, oh boy, they do you remember when they used to have the Legends game in the NBA All-Star weekend?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah,
You know why that ended?
because people broke their hips.
There was an injury. I can't even remember who the guy was, but everyone thought it was all fun. Oh, we got to see some of these old-timer All-Stars go at it, blah, blah. And usually when there's an injury, like Kevin Durant in this past NBA Finals game, he grabbed his calf, he sat down, he knew it was done. He kind of sat there quietly till he got help to be carried off the court. It was not that kind of injury in this All-Star game. It was screaming and whining and begging and please God knows. And you never want to see an old-time basketball player be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what this match felt like to me.
Okay, now, I will say,
Yeah.
my thought is that if it ended with the Undertaker's tombstone, we would be talking very differently about this match.
Of course we would be.
That match up through that tombstone was actually pretty awesome. It would have lived up to the things we would have wanted to see, and we would have all been like, you know what? They were definitely a step slower than I would have wanted. Undertaker didn't move as quickly on some of those Irish whips, and Goldberg wasn't as crisp as he could have been. But if you end with that tombstone, I think we all walk away and go like, you know what? That was satisfying for finally getting to see it. And if that's all we'll ever get, like,
however, they tried to do too damn much. They couldn't reverse the tombstones properly.
Man. On top of this,
he couldn't get him up for the jackhammer.
I think this fully exposes Goldberg as a fraud of a pro wrestler.
See, now I can't go that far.
Well, then tell me when he's ever been good outside of that Brock Lesnar two-match feud.
Well, that's what he is, though. He's the Ultimate Warrior. He comes down to the ring, he squashes you, and that's what that is.
But I
some
think
wrestlers, that's what that is. You know what I mean?
And to that point,
yeah,
they did not set Undertaker and Goldberg up for success.
Again, bad agenting in the match.
Somebody needed to direct it differently. They did not give them the tools for what they had to then make them look like superstars.
Exactly.
But I still enjoyed every bit. And in some ways, the train wreck that it was, like, you know, one of the most interesting parts of that match was how pissed Undertaker looked during and after.
Clearly.
Like, to know that he was looking at Bill like, you know what, fuck you, Bill.
Yeah.
Like, God, what did you do, Bill? How did you do this? Like,
also,
how do you run into a post and knock yourself out?
Yeah, man.
Despite how bad the match is, I don't feel too bad because I'm happy these two guys all the memories that we have of Goldberg and Undertaker, that they finally get a good paycheck.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like final paycheck.
I mean, look, they're
I
both
don't mind
well
that.
paid. But, you know, Goldberg apologized to the fans after, said, you know, he feels like he let them down. He says he wants to redeem himself, but, you know
what? I'll watch it again. Because you want to know the honest-to-God truth? Only match I rewatched the next day. Well, absolutely. I woke up the next morning and I was like, I need to see that again.
Well, you got to put him in there with a worker. Ultimate Warrior's best match, in my opinion, is WrestleMania 7. When him and Savage have that marathon, but that's because he's in there with fucking Randy Savage.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with Undertaker. You can't put him in there with other old guys who can't make him look good, who can't fill the time while he's recovering.
That was the
Undertaker and Goldberg inherently aren't good matches for each other right now because you need someone to move around. You need someone to bump. You need someone to be athletic. You need to create movement.
Exactly.
That's why Triple H and Batista was so bad because same situation, exact same situation.
So, but if you were to say that Goldberg was going to come back and in a one-off at SummerSlam challenge Kofi Kingston, that's because now I'm like, oh my God, he might get Kofi,
right?
And then Kofi's got to be athletic and quick and smart and out-strategize.
Like the perfect guy for that situation.
And then Kofi's got to actually heal up a little and get out of the ring and get away from Goldberg and create some distance because that's the way, but not too much distance because he'll hit you with the spear. And now he's going to have to wrestle him a little. Can Kofi wrestle? Can he actually hold him? And
exactly.
I would see it. I would watch another
just
Goldberg
like I feel like Finn Balor should retire the Undertaker. Totally. Let the Demon do it. Why not? Makes sense.
As long as they get to the story well, because
he was the Demon for no reason. I mean, Super Showdown. Other than it's WrestleMania, like.
I think that first off, that match I really did enjoy.
Well, those are two outstanding workers. I think
if they didn't order the Demon, and I mean genuinely, I believe it was an order. Like we were like, let's order up one of these, one of those, and the Demon. If he was just allowed to be Finn Balor, I think Andrade would have won the Intercontinental belt there.
Yeah, and it would have been just as enjoyable a match. So getting away from that,
I'm sorry. One last thing.
Yeah, please.
The issue with the Super Showdown is. It's basically a one-off.
Yeah.
But they don't treat it like a one-off because they spend a month promoting this goddamn one-off.
And then they tell us it's WrestleMania equivalent.
But when you can take that time and use that time to long book Stomping Grounds.
Yeah.
And really long book like an actual storyline.
Well, fucking Stomping Ground is essentially
Josh
Super Showdown in the United States.
I'm also going to call Wrestling Fan on you. Because it feels again like we're complaining that they don't do enough long-term booking or enough short-term booking. We spend too much time on this. I just don't
why
Here's what I
time
think.
Promoting
I'm gonna jump ahead on something
that's not really part of the canon.
I'm gonna jump ahead on something I was gonna wait until after the Velveteen Dream thing because I definitely want to dive deep on that. But I have one of my dissertations. I have a theory on something.
Okay.
We've talked a bit about how wrestlers could get 2 months off,
Yeah.
right? And it would help refresh them in our eyes. I also think that as wrestling fans, I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had periods where you just stopped watching wrestling for like a year or 2
of
years?
course.
I think one of the essential things about being a wrestling fan is sometimes inexplicably we just put it down for a minute because we know that this is a lifelong love affair. But there's no way that since I'm 5 years old, I'm going to watch every day for 35 years. There's 2 gaps in my wrestling viewership where I kind of went away and there was no explanation. One was in high school right after. I think a lot of people tuned out after WrestleMania 17.
Yeah.
And things kind of declined after that. I did not watch Hogan and The Rock live, and those are 2 of my favorite people of all time.
I wasn't watching wrestling after 17 until that moment. Then I came back to see Rock.
That started to bring me
Hogan.
back in because then I watched 19, and then I was there for a little, and then
I was gone from most
after
of Ruthless
25,
Aggression.
after
Yeah.
25, I left until WrestleMania 28, and I came back for that. Because I genuinely didn't watch Shawn Michaels' retirement because I couldn't handle it emotionally.
Oh, wow.
True story. I didn't watch it live, and I was like,
You're
their
calling
first
wrestling
match was,
fan on him?
yeah, I was too emotional.
All right.
So I think that wrestling fans need to know when to step away for a little while. The product's going to be here when you get back. We certainly will miss you, and we will welcome you with open arms. But if we are this upset with how it is, wait until SummerSlam. Don't watch until SummerSlam. And when you come back at SummerSlam, they'll show you the video package. You'll know exactly what's going on and why, and you will be so refreshed and happy
Eddie.
and excited.
Oh, Eddie.
Just watch no wrestling for a little while.
They are. Listen.
I guess they are.
They are walking away. Right?
They're not watching.
And also, can you not tell that to Chris? We need him to watch wrestling.
Because that's also, I think it's a
Carry the
healthy
podcast.
thing, and I think it's something that is not. Again, it's cyclical, and that's why right now I fully understand we are in Triple H versus Big Papa Pump territory. There's nothing. Why do you think Baron
Sexy.
Corbin's got a couple pay-per-view matches? There's nothing and no one going on.
There's no stories, and again, the Stomping Ground is a big rerun. You know what I'm saying?
By the
Bailey
way-
versus Alexa Bliss is the most fresh match on this lineup.
I'm ready to see
Reigns
Alexa
versus
Bliss.
McIntyre, seen it already. Becky Lynch, Lacey Evans, seen it already. Seth Rollins, Baron Corbin, seen it already. Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler, seen it already.
But the matches are not my issue. My issue is if this pay-per-view isn't sponsored by Lugs or Skechers, I will be pissed.
Doc
It's a
Martens.
Yeah,
They're going to be
need
cutting
a
edge
good
with Doc
sponsor.
Martens.
But look, man, everywhere else though, maybe not everywhere, but at least in their 2 biggest competitors, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, it's all excitement right now, and I'm having a great time following this shit. I put New Japan down when the Elite left.
Yeah.
I just like, oh well, I don't really care much. Look, I love Naito. I can't believe Tanahashi is still performing at the level that he's performing. You want to talk about an old timer who still goes, but motherfuck, like Dominion over the weekend was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. John Moxley opens the show. Oh, I got to get this guy's name properly because
Hey,
Showdown.
the Young Lions match.
He took on one of the Young Lions. They don't have like an NXT system really in New Japan, but it's like guys who are in training. They have to set up the rings. They kind of travel everywhere.
The young boys, and they
they're
sit
the
on
guys,
the edge and
right.
they watch.
They're the ones who get the ice packs at the end of each of the New Japan matches. So John Moxley took on one of these guys, Shota Umino, and he beats him with the new Dirty Deeds, which is called the Death Rider, where he kind of elevates you up, then drops you, which looks much better than it did in WWE. And then proceeds to pick the guy up and first he cuts a promo saying that he wants in the G1 Climax tournament, which pro wrestlers who've been in it say is maybe the most grueling thing you can do as a pro wrestler, because it's a super long round robin tournament that lasts over several weeks. And the winner, of course, gets, because it's a point-based tournament, which we don't get in WWE.
No, it's not a bracket.
No.
Oh,
It's points based.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So you get more points based on pinfalls, rather than like a DQ or submission, things like that. Which, in it's sophisticated. It's Japanese.
Yeah.
And if it's a time, I'm sure the match is a time limit, so
Right.
you can get like a draw.
100%.
I mean, New Japan does a great job making it sport
Yeah.
first.
And then you get things where mid card champions will lose to someone in the G1. Now you have an easy new contender for their title. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. But this did not happen for Jon Moxley, who was the current IWGP United States champion. He defeated this young lion, then cut his G1 promo. Then he picks the guy up and carries him to the press conference afterwards, and has decided that now this is his young lion, who will be traveling with him and ordering at restaurants for him.
He's gonna come with me. We're gonna
And
chew on some
translating everything.
cigarettes.
It was actually super duper entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and slavery?
Well, I mean,
It feels like it's the same thing.
Well,
you just have the Japanese slave.
I think this guy's getting paid. Hopefully, we'll see.
I hope he's getting paid.
And
Experience in a cheese sandwich.
and he wasn't the only ex WWE guy to show up and demand his spot in the G1 tournament. We got fucking Kenta is back, who
I
was
heard.
what was his name in WWE?
Hideo Itami.
Hideo Itami.
Oh yeah.
Because again, he was a massive deal
Yeah.
when he got to NXT. He was Shinsuke Nakamura level as far as Japanese lore, and then he got injured real bad.
Several times he
Did-
was blowing his shoulders out left and right.
Yep, didn't really recover, but he returned with Shibata as like his sort of right-hand man now, and he wants to enter the G1, which should be super interesting if he can recapture some of that old glory now that he's back in Japan. Because he wasn't really a New Japan guy. He was always in like Pro Wrestling Noah,
Yeah.
All Japan back in the day. So should be interesting. Will Ospreay might be bell to bell the best fucking dude in wrestling. This guy put on a clinic with Dragon Lee. I can't say enough about that match. Naito took on Kota Ibushi for the Intercontinental title. Ibushi took one of the nastiest head bumps I have seen in years.
And he's okay.
And he's okay. He had a massive shiner on the side of his face, but Naito took him over. They're outside of the ring on the apron, which we know is the hardest part of the ring.
Hardest part.
Goes to give him the sort
Really
of
hard.
belly-to-back suplex to the floor, but everything misses the apron except Ibushi's head.
Ooh.
And it was like...
They didn't plan that? It was accidental?
I don't know.
Oof.
It looked like he was fucking out cold, but he got checked on. He was all right. They finished the match. Naito's your new IWGP Intercontinental Champion, as I'm sure he's going to enter the G1. But
Ibushi's great. Kota
Dude.
Ibushi's great.
dude, just
And I love
fucking-
his style of like, I'm not really going to be anywhere. Like, I'm not fully signing. I'm going to go where I want.
And they
like,
played up that storyline where the reason that Naito wanted that title away from him is because Ibushi has a history of if things don't go his way, he just goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
He doesn't stick around anywhere. And Naito, meanwhile, has been stuck with this Intercontinental title because, his whole storyline is, I want to be the heavyweight champion. I don't even care about this belt. But he's like, well, but you can't have it because you're some drifter guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And see, they do such nuanced stories like that in New Japan, and that just would benefit WWE greatly.
So I wanted my issue. I don't allocate the time and the finances to be able to keep up with it. The first one is mostly time.
Yeah.
The second is accessibility to it. For instance, I do watch most WWE on YouTube.
Yeah.
I usually watch Raw and SmackDown on YouTube, and that's kind of like I'll watch all those clips in the order I want them and get them done within about an hour in the morning on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh, I want you to remember your point, but speaking of that, we didn't even talk about this week's Firefly.
I
Oh,
was
yeah,
hoping
no,
we
yeah, no, we will definitely we can definitely cover that.
Yes.
The if, for instance, New Japan and AEW were doing the same thing and posting clips like that, I
Yeah.
would feel like I could keep up much better, and I would probably be in.
Yeah.
Especially with AEW, because I don't always, I looked at it and I was like, you know what, I want to start watching this All Elite thing,
Yeah.
or about being the elite. But then each one of them is a full sitcom, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's way
It's a
too
mental
long.
thing. It's a mental thing in the way of I would probably watch more than 25 minutes in YouTube videos in this sitting, but the fact that it's one 25-minute video is where I kind of go, look,
But also
they're not
there's no
doing anything
wrestling
wrong.
on-
It's my
yeah.
thing. It's
Yeah.
my approach to it where I'm like, I don't want to commit to a 25-minute.
But there's no matches.
There's
on
no
being the
matches.
elite.
Yeah. So
it's just-
what if all of those clips were being put up the same way, I would absolutely be watching them and keeping up with it.
Imagine they will when they go to
Yeah.
TNT.
But like being the lead, like but they kind of cut to like a different location. If those were just individual clips
Yeah.
of that,
yeah.
then I would watch all of that because it's just I know okay, I only have 2 minutes. I can watch a little bit. I can watch one.
It's the
entire
difference
clip.
between watching one Black Mirror episode or 3 half-hour sitcom episodes. I'll end up watching more. I'll watch for an hour and a half if it's 3 separate episodes, but I'll only watch the one Black Mirror before I have to go to bed.
Right on.
So I would love to see. I'd love to be able to keep up, but I don't want to. I'm not even for $10 adding a New Japan subscription. AEW doesn't even offer anything, but
I'll tell you where to go to watch New Japan for free.
and I would love
Yeah.
to try to watch
I'll
the
give you a
Dustin.
website as
Yeah.
well.
And I want to watch Dustin and Cody, but I'm not going to pay Fight TV for it, and I haven't been able to find it yet.
Well, you
So-
won't have to pay to watch.
I'll give you. where
Okay,
to
good,
watch
because
it.
I'd love a link to watch
Well,
Cody and Dustin.
You won't have to pay to watch AEW's next event, the Fighter Fest, because they're giving it away for absolutely free on Bleacher Report. They have a streaming app, and it's free to sign up.
Yeah, that's what Thanksgiving they had the Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
and
And,
they were charging. For
And
that one,
apparently, and Cody was very, upfront to say it isn't one of those things where you sign up for free, but you give them your pay information, and then they charge you to keep it, and you got to cancel. It's not like that.
Yeah.
You literally just make an account, and you can watch this entire next AEW fucking event for free.
because I believe TNT they own Bleacher Report.
I think so.
I believe.
Oh, yeah, I
And,
could go to a website to watch it then too, or I have to actually download an
Probably,
app.
but this is John
Uh,
Moxley's very first match in AEW. He's taking on Joey Janela, Bad Boy Joey Janela, and what's obviously going to be bananas.
When is this?
This is June 29th. Yep.
Okay.
June
weeks.
29th.
I got some time. And when's Stomping Ground?
Stomping Ground is what next weekend, something like that.
20
Something.
Fourth.
But should be fucking good, man. What we got? Chris Daniels versus SEMA, who made his debut at
Mhm.
the last Double or Nothing. Like I said, Moxley versus Joey Janela. It's being headlined by the Elite, Kenny, the original Elite, Omega, and the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers and a mystery partner.
Is it Jericho? It has to be Jericho.
Jericho. I
Jericho-
would like it because Jericho keeps is boycotting.
Jericho did cut a promo on the internet that he will not put up for this pandering to the fans and doing shows for free. So he is not going to lend his name to this event,
Yeah,
and
he's
he's
like-
still waiting on his thank you.
I want him to show up with a chair and hit everybody and leave.
Well, there's rumors that it's probably going to be Pac. What was his,
Yeah,
what's his
Neville.
face Neville in
Neville.
WWE, but we'll see. So that's exciting news, man. I'm loving the competition era.
I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Because wrestling's so big in Japan, why do you think WWE hasn't really moved and have an NXT? In
They've
Japan
talked
yet?
about having a performance center in Japan. The problem is, it's not like the UK where, there was Evolve and what, not Rise is Japanese. They have all those fucking
Yeah.
things in the UK, and they're good, but their progress was the one I was trying to think of. Though they're all like kind of glorified indies. Like
Mhm.
New Japan Pro Wrestling is massive in Japan. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And All Japan still exists. Pro Wrestling Noah still exists. Rise exists. Stardom, Dragon Gate, all old, very established promotions. So to come in and think that you're going to get the real estate you need, then you have to, first of all, how are you going to get talent that's going to headline that? You know what I mean? Because with the UK, they were able to get all those dudes like Walter and Tyler Bate and the Bruiserweight, Pete
Yeah.
Dunne, and all these guys. Because like I said, all those other promotions are glorified indies. No one's locked in really to
That's why I'm
contracts and
surprised
stuff like that.
WWE hasn't went out and bought an indie that's in Japan
I feel
and
like
and that's you're in buy 2 or 3 kind of smaller indies,
Yeah.
and then group them together.
Are
and slowly
there Japanese
build up.
indies?
Because
I
sure
think,
there are.
Sure
I
they
I
are.
don't know this one for certain, but I feel like New Japan has things locked up. It's New Japan and it's All Japan,
Yeah.
and they had what was the other one?
Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yeah, like
and then there's Michinoku Pro. I mean, there's a bunch.
but like I feel like their relationship with the Inokis is one that they're not going to violate because that is age old.
Yeah,
that
goes back some years too.
And they would rather break into China than Japan right now because
The
the
other
market
thing
is bigger
is-
in China.
WWE has a history of doing well when they just go to Japan as WWE.
Yeah.
This is the other thing.
Well, that's a different. I also think that if you look at the style of what's working in Japan, the WWE recognizes they're not in that business.
I put a picture in our group chat once. There's a gnarly picture of Vince McMahon with his headset on, sending Jushin Thunder fucking Liger to the ring for a match. If you go on YouTube, you can find this gnarly match from the late 80s where it's the Great Muta versus Hulk Hogan for the WWF title.
Yeah.
And Hogan cuts a promo and says that the IWGP heavyweight title is more important than the WWF
Oh
championship.
yeah, I remember that.
It's fucking weird if you go back and look
Great
that shit up.
Muta is the
'Cause they
guy
never
who
thought
spits
the-
out, right?
Spits the mist and does
They
the-
never thought those promos would play ever again.
Yeah,
so they were like,
exactly.
just say whatever.
Say whatever you got to say. No one's ever going to
Yeah.
see this.
Because I was watching clips of him a couple months ago.
Muta, yeah.
Muta, and it's like that spot where he spits in your face is great every goddamn time.
Keiji Muto.
Such a great fucking
yeah,
spot.
The innovator of the
Yeah.
mist. And it was different. The different colors did different things
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
It's like,
There's a
it's
legend,
like
there is.
Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll fucking close up, man, because New Japan, the Japanese style, the UK style, most indie styles, very sport based. WWE not, and it seems like there's been a decline in interest in WWE because of this. Partially because of this, rather.
However, the interest in other wrestling hasn't gone up.
You don't think so?
Here's what I think happens.
Okay.
Right? So AEW is going to be on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think outside spectators are coming over to AEW. I think wrestling fans are watching, and especially wrestling fans who aren't satisfied with WWE are watching.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you are a non-wrestling fan, you'd be more likely to enter through the WWE door than the AEW door, save for a few people, and maybe in time it will start to change.
I don't know, man. I had a lot of people. This is legit. I had a lot of people who I know do not watch wrestling, like know that I do,
Yeah.
and ask me. So like, there's another thing coming out that's like not WWE. Like, what's that all about? And I'm like, I'm shocked that you've heard of that.
Knowledge
You
of
know
the
what I mean?
product will be the first one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the moment, the thing, like for instance, the people who sold out that arena
Yeah.
were people who already bought wrestling shit to begin with.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean? Like they
But that's
already
what-
owned wrestling T-shirts. So the new fans aren't starting at AEW,
Not
although
until
they
the
may
TNT
in time.
deal.
Yeah.
Not until the
The
TNT.
it would
that's-
have to be after
And
that.
that's also what was intriguing about that Google trending, because it meant that it wasn't just the core wrestling fans that were seeking this shit out. But again,
Yeah.
what I've never really known what it takes to make an adult person who doesn't or watch WWE or wrestling at all watch wrestling, and AEW is not putting a kid friendly product out.
Yeah.
So I don't know what children are going to be, brought in through AEW either. So
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is going to be very interesting.
I think you're looking at trying to reignite some fans' passions. I think you're trying to bring some over because you're going to get crossover.
Yeah, of course.
Right? It's kind of like if you're into the NBA playoffs, then you're watching all the playoff games. You're not just watching your team's games.
Because that's how WWE became such a juggernaut in the first place. It was just like the WCW fans left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because before it was always two schools of thought of wrestling fans. The guys who liked Vince's sports entertainment in New York and the guys who loved the NWA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the NWA guys thought that the WWF was bullshit, and the WWF guys didn't give a fuck who Ric Flair was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then they ruined it. And so it just started going the other way. Now, I don't know really how to make the narrative for people who don't watch wrestling to come over to AEW, but we'll see. But
The
that
good
goes.
thing with AEW is that they're very internet heavy
Yeah.
with their promotion.
Totally.
So that's a good way to kind of get new fans in.
Now,
They may have watched WWE
out of
or
curiosity,
WWF.
what do you mean they're internet heavy with their promotion?
Like they do a lot of videos on YouTube and
Yeah, all their-
understand
Like
that.
what?
All
'Cause
there's-
we were just talking about, like, I can't find any of their stuff.
Well, you got to look at it like we talked about, like All In, right? Like all of the promo for that pay-per-view was done digitally. All of it. Every storyline that played out at All In was done on being the elite. You know what I mean? And different things that they did at like bar wrestling and all these like little indie shows that clips would show up on the internet because there is no weekly TV show.
Send me
for
these
those
because I'm
guys.
not seeing these. Like,
Sure.
I'm just hearing.
No
like
problem.
I hear things, but like I said, if I want to follow the product,
got
I don't know that
I
they
know
have
just
a YouTube
the guy to
page.
send you to. He used to be a member of this podcast. We'll talk about it later. But one guy that I think we all follow who had some very interesting things to say today,
yeah.
the goddamn Velveteen Dream, has chimed in on a lot of people's sort of dissatisfaction with the WWE's current product
Mhm.
and has made his position very clear that he feels that, people need to shut the fuck up, essentially, and accept the WWE for what it is, which is a sports entertainment sort of genre. It's not about the wrestling anymore. We're not kayfabe anymore, where we're talking about, that it's a feigned competition and that we just need to love it for the storylines and the spectacle, and that the decisions that are made are not really up to us to get pissed about because TV doesn't work that way. You watch a television show like Game of Thrones, for example, and we don't dictate where they go with the storylines. We
Mhm.
just watch it and we like it or we don't. You know what I mean? And that's
And Jon Snow doesn't get to decide whether he wins the Iron Throne or not.
absolutely.
And he doesn't get to complain when he doesn't like how his character's written.
certainly. And
He can ask his agent to do so.
right. And also he made a strong stance that wrestlers who aren't getting over, kind of their fault.
And I said that a long time ago.
Made a lot of statements here. Let's see. You can go to his Instagram right now at Velveteen WWE. He writes, "You must do what you have to do in order to do what you want to do. Life lesson. Case in point, this series will show you talent who made what they were given work, good and bad. Santino Marella made it work. Damian Sandow, the stunt double, made it work. The Miz, and he's still making everything given him work. Jericho literally made it work. Godfather, APA, The Rock, D'Lo, my friend Eugene made it work. Doink made it work. The Boogeyman, Goldust." He goes on. Steve Austin started as the ringmaster. Bad gimmick. Steve Austin made it work, so he earned trust. He earned the right to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Glenn Jacobs started as Dr. Isaac Yankem. Bad gimmick. Glenn Jacobs made it work, so he earned trust. He earned the right to be Kane. Says the same thing about Batista, who started as Deacon Batista. Triple H, who started off as Hunter Helmsley. The Rock, who started off as Rocky Maivia. And then he ends with, "The adults who refuse to accept WWE as sports entertainment are the kids who never grew up. Enjoy the product for what it is." Can't wait to hear where you guys...
100% agree. And because I've said this before, the New Day is a prime example of what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When we got the New Day, it was just a shitty gimmick.
Right.
They found ways to manipulate it from just a church group,
Okay.
basically, to
Yeah.
something that worked.
Yeah.
And it's not even the complete same at all anymore.
Right.
But they were able to manipulate it enough to just slowly build it and take advantage of the fucking time you have with it.
Agreed. Eddie?
I love everything about what he said. I would have to say I completely agree as well. I've always been fighting back as fans. Our expectation and how we approach what it is we're watching is what's damaging our own experience. And it's not hurting WWE, it's hurting us. We're the ones who don't give ourselves the chance to enjoy it. Like, for instance, we got tweeted the video of Lacey Evans messing up a belly-to-belly.
Mm.
And I was like, Okay, she's young and she's learning. Like, we're going to now jump down Lacey Evans is the worst wrestler ever. She should never be allowed in the ring ever. Oh, so your favorite wrestler's never messed up a spot? Like,
Right.
calm down. I had an acting teacher early on, and he told me something very beautiful, which was when a show goes bad, the director gets all the blame. And if the show goes good, the actors get all the credit.
Mhm.
And this is what's happened. When we quote people like The Rock and Stone Cold, we'd said it one week here, Vince McMahon didn't make those characters. They made themselves, and we give him no credit. But when it's going poorly, we want to rag on Vince and say it's all this bad writing. And I do believe that while they aren't always given the best scripts, right, whether specific or general, it is absolutely on a performer. For instance, Kevin Owens does it week in and week out. No matter what he's given, he is interesting every single time. And that is going to build and lead to him getting the opportunity to do the big thing. But just like any other business, we didn't get to come walk into this building and start off right off the bat. We had to earn our place here no matter who we were anywhere else.
And I feel like wrestling fans are very different than fans for like other sports. You know, like if, for example, like football, if someone drops a pass, fans immediately like boo that guy. But then eventually, when he catches a pass for a touchdown, everyone's immediately back on that guy's side. Like, let's go. But wrestling, if they fuck up like a spot or a match, they hate on those people, and then they don't even realize the good stuff they do after that. They just like, no, fuck this guy.
We're a bit disgruntled out over time right now. You could figure out when it goes back to, but we were disgruntled that Triple H wouldn't step aside for somebody else. We were disgruntled that the WWE couldn't figure out a way to keep CM Punk, and he walked away angry. We're disgruntled that John Cena won too much. We're disgruntled that Roman Reigns won too much. And we as viewers could absolutely change how we view things and what we expect. For instance, Friday, I was not expecting a real live show on Friday. I was expecting exactly what I got, so it allowed me to just chill out in front of the TV for a couple hours and be like, oh yeah, this is what it was like to just sit and watch some wrestling for a little while and enjoy. And on that other side, I do think that there are inherent problems with the creative process in that large corporation trying to operate as a creative company, but absolutely, performers can and should be making everything of what they're given. And when you see somebody like Dean Ambrose and Jon Moxley walk away because he's too upset with how it's going, instead of I am told as a performer plenty of times, like, do your best with what you're given. I don't get a chance to look at the script and go back to them and say, I don't really like that. No, I have to execute that. So it's my job to make it good. That same acting teacher told me you don't have to be proud of the show you're in, but you should be proud of the work you're doing. And I imagine that Kevin Owens goes to bed proud of the work he does, even though what he's being given is not top-level stuff. He's making it as good as he can.
And I think Moxley kind of said that he did that as much as he could with WWE. He didn't enjoy it, but he tried to make it good. But I guess over time with him, I feel like he just lost less interest in.
I think that he tried to improve the thing that it was being given to him instead of taking what was given to him and executing it the best he could. And I think those are two different things. But it's clear he had passion for it, which is important.
I think my take on it is, I think that Velveteen Dream made a poignant sort of point, but was to a question, to the wrong question. I think that he is saying it in response to the decline in business for WWE and the decline in backstage morale that keeps being reported on, the decline in sort of satisfaction with the product from fans. And it's like, yeah, man, what you're saying is true, but that is a why can't people get over argument as opposed to why can't people draw. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the problem with WWE right now is that their stars aren't drawing because they're not being put in a position to draw, because people are getting over. Rusev got over. They did not push him. They didn't put him to the top of the card. Zack Ryder long ago got over. They didn't push him. You know, even the examples that he gave that of people who made shit work. Damian Sandow was one of the hottest acts in the company.
That's when I got really back into watching
Yeah.
wrestling was during this.
Yeah.
And they buried him. It's like, yeah, I made a point on this podcast a long time ago about how Al Snow was asked once, does he think that the WWE mistreated him because he never got pushed to the main event, even though he was... No, the question was, did he feel like he made a mistake leaving ECW because he was in line to become world champion in ECW, and right before he was about to win it, WWE made him an offer. And he left. He ended up losing to Shane Douglas, goes to WWE. And the head gimmick was, people liked it for a little bit, but they had him in a weird feud with Jerry Lawler and Brian Christopher, and then they kind of made him a joke, and he was in the hardcore title picture, and then the head cheese thing, you know what I mean, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, dude, you gave up a main event spot to go do that. Do you have any regrets? He's like, ultimately, man, I had so much time on TV every single week, and ultimately it's on me that I didn't get that shit over. And New Day is also a point that I always make. That praise dancer gimmick shit that they had was terrible. And they put themselves completely into it, and it became something else entirely.
And their current version still has some elements of the
Same music.
original New Day.
Yeah, totally.
Just the dancing and all that.
Yeah.
The dancing's still there, but they made it
Absolutely.
enough.
So,
made it different.
Yes, I totally agree. It is on you to get over and do the best with what you can. But if you're not put in a position to where that can grow and sort of thrive, then it's going to be looked at as a failure by the fans and the audience, because it's like, okay, well, we want to see more of this if it works. Also, I can't be on board that everything can be made good either. I don't see how Hector Guerrero was going to make the gobbledygooker any good.
But doing your best. So I got a piece of advice when I was heading into production, which was, you might not be excited about something that's happening,
Sure,
but get excited.
Yeah,
Like, you might not like it, but you don't oppose it. Like, throw yourself into it. Do your best
well, look
work.
at the Revival.
Yeah.
The Revival, when they turned down a contract extension, they have been embarrassed week in and week out. They've been the butt of these dumbass jokes by the Usos. They put burning cream in their fucking jock straps. They were shaving their backs, all this stuff. But they're doing it. They're out there doing it. And you don't see them doing it half-assed and not, full-hearted. And shit, they just made them the tag team champions again on Raw this past week.
So I have a question for point of debate more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
If something is that good or somebody is that over, is there a way to deny it? Because I think that has always been part of Vince McMahon's strategy, is when somebody gets hot, he tries to pull them back and cool them off a little, because I think in his head, he's like, if you're that fucking over, then even if I put you in a bad match next week, they're still going to want more of you.
Yeah,
and
but that only goes so far, especially nowadays, because the audience has changed. The attention span just isn't what it used to be, where it's like, oh, well, we can stick this out, and then eventually it's going to get where we want to. Like, people got to see people catch momentum a little earlier now. Vince McMahon likes to, if something's over, I'm going to put barriers in front of it so that when they overcome, there's going to be this big cathartic thing, right? But it's like,
people gave up before they got
people
over
give
the
up,
first obstacle.
100%, and that's
then
because,
is that thing or that person really that over? Like, I'm a huge Rusev guy.
Yeah.
I've had dinner with the guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's amazing. I think his talent is unquestionable.
Sure.
If he's that over, then would it be so simple to cool him off, or wouldn't there be?
But look what they did. Like, he lost so many times, and then they take Aiden English away from him. They don't even really have a feud after that. Aiden's shipped off to be a commentator on 205 Live,
and
then they take him off TV.
But
It's like,
my
well, what
question
was that?
then, because again, we're just going to continue to explore it.
Yeah.
If that's all it took to cool him off, then was he that over to begin with?
But it was the act. It's like saying, okay, if you took, I mean, this is not a great example, but if you took Macho Man, if you took Elizabeth away from Macho Man, would it have been the same kind
but
of
he
thing?
did do that. With Sherry, he was great.
But they turned it into
when Paul McCartney left the Beatles, he still went on to be a multi-platinum recording
man,
artist.
but
You know
it's
what I mean?
like-
Like when someone's good, they're
Right.
either good
But
or
you're
they're
talking
not.
about
But what Chris is saying, there is no just Paul McCartney before the Beatles.
right.
You know, like
Also,
you have to have that big thing. Like the Elizabeth thing works because you had Macho Man and Elizabeth first.
right. Also, we can't act like every wrestler is a 1 in a million talent like Randy Savage. You
Mhm.
want your product to be healthy. We just talked about the Ultimate Warrior. If you would have put him in a different gimmick and tried to make him, you know what this is like? It's like with mobile quarterbacks, and you're always trying to make them stay in the pocket.
Mhm.
It just everyone can't be the quarterback you want them to be. Some
Mhm.
people work in a certain system, and WWE I think makes it to where you got to be able to thrive in all situations, and it's like not every talent is like that,
Mhm.
and it doesn't help anyone if you keep trying to put them into boxes that they don't fit in. Some people, like I talked about Daniel Bryan at the beginning of this podcast. He can do it all. No matter where you put him, he can get over. Not everyone can do that. And if you're banking on that all of your talent can be that Daniel Bryan or Randy Savage or whoever the fuck else, you are asking to me for failure. Because
Especially from guys who don't have mic skills at all.
yeah,
Like there's no way to get them over
right.
if they're not able to talk. And
Like Lance Storm. Lance Storm was the shit in ECW. He's a great wrestler. You put him in the WWE or WCW, now you got a mic in his face and you want him to talk a whole bunch. It's like, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't make him say things. It's not what he does.
Yeah.
Or same thing when like they try to make Lesnar talk and shit. It's like, let Heyman handle that.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's just like, so it's like, yes, Velveteen, you're right on the money. It is up to the performer to get over, but it is up to the company after that to once it gets over to fucking get behind it in a meaningful way and keep it special and not just, dump all over it if it's not part of your plan.
But he's also very right in that how we're viewing needs to change. In as much as I would challenge anybody who's listening right now to write 5 hours of television every week and make it better than what they're doing.
Dude, they got a hard job, but also it's like it goes back to that non-committal thing I talk about at WWE, where it's like, okay, we want to do this, but oh shit, maybe the fans won't like this, so we'll book it in a way to where there's like an out.
No, that's
it's like they have to
it's
stop
so
that.
big.
They
Like
have to stop
I
that.
get that, but in this version of this argument, because there's complete validation in what you're saying that they don't go.
Yeah.
However, in this version of the story we're talking about right now, where it's 5 hours a week of television, of live television,
Yeah.
is not easy to do to begin with, let alone the fact that everybody's on the fucking road the rest of the week. It's not like they're sitting, it's not like they go to a production office every day. They're not the writers of The Office,
Yeah.
where they have an office and they have a bulletin board and they're back home every night. Like, their job is infinitely more difficult
I
than
agree.
we even discuss.
Especially when it's all getting changed at the last minute.
It's getting changed. It is
And
it is a
issue-
huge company where you have so many masters to serve as well. Like, how many of those changes do you think happen when they do get a response and they're like online, there's this thing? Or like the perfect example being they weren't able to pull, this is years ago. They weren't able to pull the Undertaker getting attacked by Muhammad Hassan's
Yeah.
little group of people
Mhm.
right after a terrorist attack. They couldn't even pull the segment that they wanted to pull. But here, like right before a live show, maybe they can rewrite a segment based on news that happened that day. It's not an excuse for why things aren't better, but a realization that our expectation should be that with 5 hours of live television being written, 30 minutes is probably going to be really captivating, and the rest of it is going to have to get us through until there's something else.
But I think the other side of that argument is we didn't ask WWE to give us
They don't want it.
an unbelievable amount of content.
They
every
don't
single
want it.
one
They're
either.
getting paid for it.
Well, sure,
you know,
but it's like, if that's
Vince
the
wants
case-
2 hours on Monday, but
Right.
they got infinitely more money to
Right.
produce a third.
But if that's the case, while it's the performer's job to do the best with the material they're given, it's also the company's job to do what they can to make this shit compelling, or at least have some sort of continuity. Have some, like, the things that fans complain about is like, wait a minute, look at this Alexa Bliss thing. It's like, wait a minute, she was a heel last week. Now she's like friendly to Nikki Cross. Now she's back to being a heel against Bayley. It's just like there's no continuity. They don't pay off storylines. They forget about stuff. It's just like it's a team thing. It has to be creative and the performers. So I think Velveteen put too much on the audience and the performers and not enough on the company. And I mean, it fits in. What's ironic about the whole thing is his whole thing is to say fuck kayfabe, but him saying this stuff is completely in line with the character that he's currently portraying in NXT, who desperately wants to be called up to the main roster, in so much as putting it on his fucking tights at an NXT takeover.
And
one.
I feel like WWE makes it way more difficult for themselves. Like Raw's 3 hours long,
Yeah.
but there's no matches. If you watch during like Raw during like Stone Cold,
Yeah.
there's still
Hella matches.
a shitload of matches.
Mhm.
Now it's so few matches that they have to fill in time with fucking promos and dialogue.
Yeah.
And I feel like they can cut some of that dialogue out, make their stories
Look,
way
a wrestling
easier.
match is still writing television.
Yeah.
In fact, it's
Yeah.
writing television where you have to put in action sequences as well. It's not easier to write one versus
Well, I'm
the
saying,
other
but
inherently.
I'm saying they can be way less chaos and easier to organize storylines if you have more matches and
I'm
less.
down, Josh. Go write 5 hours of TV and bring it to us next week. That's
Well,
all.
here's-
That's all I'm saying
look,
here is that
but
we
you
can
can make-
absolutely
I'm saying-
criticize, but like they first got to a certain place. Like we're only here as editors, and editing somebody else's work after the fact is one of the worst ways to view something. Which is we're going to be critical of it
Right.
and tell you how to do it better.
But at the end
But
of
we
the day,
didn't get to the. You
you
got
can
us to
still
the
ri-
first 10 steps.
Like you could write a feud, you can write a feud, and you can write that feud with dialogue, or you can write that feud with an actual match.
Yeah.
And it's like at the end of the match, this is the result of this match. This is what we're going towards. It's way easier to write that match than
First
the
and
actual
foremost,
dialogue.
no, it's not. Because
I
A,
think
people's
100
bodies are on the line. 2, you actually have to plan out what that match is going to look like. And second, we as fans have said numerous times that we're sick of random tag team matches that end because we know WWE is not going to go to enhancement talent systems because that's not a character that they can make money off of later, and it is a money-making venture that is beholden to their stockholders.
I will
But
say
because
this.
of that, there's no way. It's not. All I'm saying is it isn't just as simple. And if you had to write 5 hours every single week as well, you'd recognize like, oh shit, like this is a very tough uphill climb. And just when you finally put the finishing touches on one show, you're like, oh my god, I got another one in fucking 4 days.
You know,
Look.
but this is the difference. Like as a comic, you go on stage and you have dialogue, and sometimes you go on stage and it does well. Sometimes it bombs. But that's what WWE is now. But writing matches, it's like writing a sketch, and it's funny. It's fun.
Yeah.
And no matter how many times you watch it, you still laugh at the same moments of a funny sketch.
Here's the deal.
I think
Saturday Night Live can't nail an hour and a half a week
But
either. That's all I'm saying.
But
is
Saturday
it's-
Night Live doesn't have a like mini Saturday Night Live that everyone loves. You know, I think WWE.
Yeah,
The-
they just released that show on Netflix that everyone loves by Tim.
What?
Tim, what's his face?
Tim Meadows.
No, there was God. It's called like You Should Leave or something.
Oh.
By
I don't know what that is, but it's tough to say. You know, for the smarks who are like, well, WWE's so bad, but NXT's so good. So then it's tough for the WWE guys to be like, yeah, but we have all this stuff
but
that we
it's
got to do.
1 hour
It's like,
that's produced by people who stay and
100%.
live in Orlando. Like that's what I
100%.
mean. Like
however, perception-wise, it's like, look, you guys can make good TV, and then you make this, and you're supposed to be the bigger, better thing, and that's why it's hard to tell fans to digest that properly. And
as long as you recognize as fans that those are not equal comparisons. Not only are the time
look,
amounts different,
it's not
there's like
fair, but it's tough to blame the audience too and say, well, you guys should be. It's like when a comic is bombing and it's like, well, you guys should be appreciating this more because I had to spend so much time writing these jokes and all that. It's like, sure, guy. At the end of the day, they're calling themselves sports entertainment. It got to be entertaining.
Look, I'm just going to keep on this other side for the hell of it at this point, but no, that's 100% true. An audience has to be ready to enjoy the show. If you walk up there,
But they're
if
there
people
for
walk,
that.
if we walk upstairs and
Yeah.
people are not excited to be in that room, there is
Right.
no one and nothing that you can do to make them excited,
Yeah.
save for Dave Chappelle walking out, which is what we did on Friday in Saudi Arabia. We brought Goldberg and Undertaker, and they only half liked it because it wasn't the thing they wanted.
But even Chappelle's been booed off stage for fucking around and
Yeah.
not giving them what they wanted. And look, people are paying their money. You know what I mean? In larger quantities than they've been asked to in the past because the pool of viewers and live attendees aren't what it used to be. It's the diehard fans are spending way more money than they ever did in history to consume this stuff. So they're just
I
being
just
like,
think
you better fucking give me
there's
something.
only one thing that we as the fans can control, and it's how we are taking it in, which is why, personally, like I've always said, I want to watch it with you guys in the belly room. I want to view it this way. I'm going to watch this, or I'm going to go into Super Showdown that way, because the only thing I can control is how I'm choosing to take it in.
Yeah.
And I feel like if, as viewers, we start to cut them a little slack and enter it with the joy that we used to, that joie de vivre of actually enjoying wrestling, we might be able to inspire a better product by giving them some leeway and letting them figure out the way they need instead of constantly coming down at them as they didn't do the thing.
I mean, the problem is that works when you're kind of the only game in town, but it's just like it was in 93 when it was like, we just don't like this shit anymore. And now WCW looks awfully fucking attractive, and that's kind of where we are with All Elite.
Let's see.
And we will. We absolutely will.
But speaking of something we all love,
Firefly fucking Funhouse. This guy killed a rabbit on fucking national
And then
television.
ate its blood.
And
I
licked
want
its
that
blood.
T-shirt so much.
And that whole line of Firefly Funhouse T-shirts are just fucking great.
I
Bray
haven't seen the
Wyatt,
T-shirts yet.
save us all, please.
By the way, do you know that the sign that he's knocking onto the door is exact line from Divine Comedy?
Oh wow!
On the
Abandoned
door
OP,
to
you-
hell.
yeah.
So when are
It's-
we going to see him wrestling? What's
That's
this
what I
going to be
need to
like in the
know.
live arena? Are
I
they gonna
don't
do
know. He
vignettes?
recently
Is he-
put out a tweet that said, something to the effect of, everything's going to change once this moves forward. I spent too much time thinking about this for it not to work, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. So, I mean, this will be the ultimate sort of litmus test of what Dream is talking about because a lot of these promos have been out of Bray Wyatt's brain, and he's been allowed to do what he wants to do. Then he's got to step back into the system.
Is he not clear to
He's
for
cleared.
contact?
He's cleared, but
I would like
it's
to
leading
see,
to something. It's
I
all
would like
leading
to see his
something.
first match be at SummerSlam. I want it to be a hold off till SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Make it a big opponent. Like bring him back to the arena a few weeks before. Like you could set it up. I think you play him and that character very similar in the live venue.
But
You
there's
put
so
it,
many
you know?
elements to it. It's like it's the meta commentary on his past gimmicks and his experience in the WWE. Then he has this alternate Fiend character. Like, how does that play a role?
Here's
in what
how
he's
you-
going
here's
to do. He's
the
got
first
the gloves.
time he shows up on Monday Night Raw. Very simple.
Yeah.
Let's think of somebody. Who do we want to see him wrestle? Who would be? I got it. He comes in and he interrupts Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's in the ring. Braun Strowman's just decimated everybody around him.
Yeah.
Music plays. Bray comes to the top of the ramp and he goes, Braun, will you let me in? Lights out, cut, done. So you start to bring in what he's been doing there, but in the little pieces that translate to reality, so you can still do those Firefly
Say that 5 times fast. Easy
Fuck,
for you to
make
say.
it easier to say. So you can still do those
Look, I'm
ticket
excited.
promos.
And you could have him be like that one character, and let's say he gets hit a certain way, and that's all of a sudden is the Fiend and the Hurt, or he gets talked to again, and then it goes back to the other one.
Whatever it is,
Daniel Bryan.
I'm very excited
I want
to see it.
him against Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam.
The rumors are his first feud is going to be against Luke Harper. So
Why?
he's in the Wyatt family longer than anybody.
He hasn't been on TV for 2 months.
Typical WWE. Let's see Bray make
Nor
it
has
work.
Carl Anderson.
Hey, Eddie, give it a chance.
But until Bray Wyatt debuts, where can they find you in the meantime, Josh?
Josh Martin Comic on Twitter, Instagram, and I'll be in New York hanging out. Probably getting drunk every night.
Love it. Eddie?
Go check out Historical Roast with Jeff Ross on Netflix. Make sure you're watching that. We have a show here at the Comedy Store in the Belly Room Wednesday, June 19th at 10:30 p.m. We're roasting the Titanic. I've actually got some special tickets for Store Horsemen fans.
Oh.
So if you follow both me and Historical Roast on Instagram and you direct message me, we have a limited number of free tickets to give away just to Store Horsemen fans.
Ooh.
So get in there fast today or tomorrow. Follow us both and come see us June 19th at 10:30 p.m. Wednesday night. We're roasting the Titanic.
There it is. Look, special stuff for being a Store Horseman fan. Like us on Facebook. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow the YouTube channel. We're putting out clips now from every show if you want to be like Eddie and consume us that way. Follow me at Chris_please. Follow us on all the social media stuff at Store Horseman. And never forget, Store Horsemen are your hookup. Holla if you hear us. Good shit today.
Yeah.
That was fun. I like that.